Basine?
Here.
Campson? Gabriel? Jordan?
Here.
Martin? Rousen? And Clanton? Yes. Move that members of the school board go into a closed session for the purposes which are set out in subsection A of section 2.2-3711 of the Virginia Freedom of Information Act as amended for A, discussion, consideration, or interviews of prospective candidates for employment, assignment, appointment, promotion, performance, demotion, salaries, disciplining, or resignation of specific public officers, appointees, or employees of the school board of the city of Norfolk pursuant to subsection 2.2-3711A1 of the Act. The subjects of this portion of the session are the personnel on today's regular personnel agenda and a separate personnel matter concerning an employee complaint and the annual evaluation of the division superintendent required by Virginia Code Sections 22.1-601, 60.1, and 22.1-253.13:5. B, discussion or consideration of disciplinary and any other matters concerning students in Norfolk Public Schools that would involve the disclosure of information contained in the scholastic record pursuant to subsection 2.2-3711A2 of the Act. The subjects of this portion of the session are the students on today's regular student support agenda. C, consultation with legal counsel and briefing by staff members or consultants pertaining to actual or probable litigation where discussion is open in open session would adversely affect the school board's negotiating or litigating posture, and consultation with legal counsel regarding specific legal matters requiring the provision of legal advice by counsel pursuant to subsections 2.2-3711A7 and 8 of the Act. The subjects of this portion of the session are those set out above in subsections A and B of this motion, and to the extent consultation with legal counsel is needed. Basine?
Aye.
Campson? Aye. Gabriel?
Aye.
Jordan?
Aye.
Martin?
Aye.
Clanton?
Aye. All right, the motion is carried. We'll enter into executive closed session. Also, as a point, I missed this here, Dr. Rousen will be joining us while we're in closed session. He'll be here about 3:15, okay? So at this time, we'll go ahead and recess until we come out of closed session and start our meeting at 7 o'clock. Thank you. We're now moving into the workshop section of our agenda, which is around the proposed school division strategic plan, goals, and objectives. This is a continuation of our conversation, continuing the drive that were presented to the board on June 1st. This will be an opportunity for us to continue that conversation. I know that Dr. Gibson is standing in. She served as the co-chair for with Dr. Pohl. And so I'd like to just kind of take this through objective by objective, goal by goal. And as we get to these different things, if there's anything addition that you think that should be there or conversation, let me just also level set in the respect that come our August 3rd meeting, the administration will present to us the matching measurements and those actual data points that will go with those measurements. And that will be an opportunity that will set up the board for what our monitoring calendar will be, and that will continue on. And that will coincide with, as we look at our goals, working with our superintendent, and continuing with that particular process. So with that, Dr. Gibson, did you have anything that you wanted to mention?
I need to clarify that within our goals and our objectives,
Okay.
we listed the measures that will be used to show that we are reaching and approaching and exceeding the goals.
Got it.
So the measures are already.
The measures are there, but you'll be presenting to us what the data marks will be for targets for this year, right? Is that December? Not December, October?
So,
August.
from what was shared with us previously, we were to present the monitoring calendar, and so we were prepared for that, but now I'm hearing that you want specific measurements.
So when will we get the specific measurements?
I don't know. That's why I'm asking the board, because we've heard about the monitoring calendar. I haven't heard any specifics around measures, because again, we can do that certainly after the board has voted upon what it is specifically that you want us to do as it relates to the goals and objectives.
Got it.
Like, we wouldn't work towards finalizing measures until we had clear direction on what it is you want us to do. We were clear on the monitoring calendar. We could certainly tweak that, but, you know, to Dr. Gibson's point, that has what has been communicated to us. So, we're.
Dr.
I have a question. So while you were developing the strategic plan, did you have benchmarks in mind?
Certainly.
Okay, so
Certainly
is that
we
what
did.
we're talking about?
That's what we're talking about, the
We did.
benchmarks for
Yes,
year one.
certainly we
So,
did.
Yeah.
I figured
we-
you'd already thought.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
you're already there.
Absolutely.
Mr. Singh, or I'm trying to figure, who was that, Mr.?
He was next.
Okay, Mr. Jordan, my apologies.
Yes, so I just like to make sure, just for clarification, so, I don't know if you have the implementation timeline, but
Mm-hmm.
on the previous, when we received the draft, so where are we from the administration's perspective on the proposed timeline?
Presented it last time, we gave a proposed timeline in terms of how it would be implemented with a projected date of seeing some type of review in January. If you go to slide number 54.
Yeah.
Yes, you'll see in July where we would implement, we would have media publications. By August, we would have a data reporting schedule. By September, we would have all teachers and staff, along with the leaders in the division, receiving in-service and an overview of the plan. From there, in October, we would develop a website for publishing on the schools, on the division's webpage. And then we would have information presented to our parents in our fall open houses by our principals. In November, the committee will develop a strategy for implementation in terms of the timeline to ensure the work gets completed within the 5-year phase. And then in January, we will give a progress update to the board. And at that point, the timeline in a more comprehensive manner will be shared.
That's what I was trying to, in conversation with you and others, so I know that when the presentation was received in June, it was stated that was a draft, and that there was this implementation. And so what I was trying to get clarity on was the board's role, one, in terms of input into the goals, objectives, and measures, and then also in terms of approval process that would then support the implementation that's being recommended. So I just want to make sure I'm clear now. So for this workshop here, what is it that we are discussing? Because there's as I understood it coming into this, that we were going to talk about the goals and the objectives. And what you were saying earlier, we would talk at a future meeting about the measures. But then I think I just heard that the measures are already before us, so are we going to be having the conversation about it?
And if I may clarify, Mr. Chair, the measures aren't completely complete, Mr. Jordan, because they're really not SMART measures yet. So we only have given you like the stem of the measures.
Right, so I guess what I'm trying to figure out is, as a board member, I like to have a discussion.
Could you unmute your mic, please?
Stage crew.
We could all give you an extra one. You can all around you.
Ever since we went to online meetings, I've always had this thing about anyway. So what I want to get, what I'm interested in is not only just making sure that the board provides some guidance, support, whatever it is that we're being asked to do as far as the goals and objectives are concerned, but also on the, I guess, high-level measures. I'm not sure the correct terminology. I just want to have an understanding of how do we, as a board, have input into what we are expecting. So for example, and I'm just going to just happen on the first measure or whatever slide I have, and I guess it's from the previous presentation, it says decrease the percentage of students chronically absent. So I support that. What I'm trying to understand is the process from where that goes to something that is marked, that then ties in with some timeline. And so I'm trying to understand that process, because my concern is that we have an opportunity to make sure that the measures are not only smart, but they're also qualitative as well as quantitative.
Exactly.
And I just want to make sure I understand what that process is as we today to moving forward.
Got it. So if I can, let me just back it up here. So this particular continuation of the conversation, feedback from board members, but also the recommendation from Ms. Valda, that the board needed to take some particular action around at least the goals and objectives to send a clear message that at least in that space, that we are supportive of the direction and to send a message. Because right now, this is just a draft document. We've got a timeline, but the board has not provided any feedback in the respect of, yes, we like this direction, continue to proceed, and so that there needed to be a clear definition of action for the board, to the administration, that this is where we want you to go. Definitely on the measures piece down there, we're going to get a report out in August. It's already here. We have that as a column here. But that also allows for the board to come back as we continue on this timeline that we said, yes, what you presented to us seems like a good plan, continue to go down here. It's not a rabbit hole, but we see this, that you'll come back and give us some smart measures that'll go in here to say, this is what I'm looking at, student excellence. So increase the percentage of students reading on grade level by the third grade as measured by the fall growth assessment. That's the first.
Clanton, that is correct. If you think about your accountability plan, you notice that in that accountability plan, each year you had incremental goals set for achieving accreditation, 100% of the schools in the division by a certain year. This plan will do the same thing. Once it is approved, once we begin working toward it, we'll have our monitoring calendar in place. Those SMART goals will be set based on the data that comes out at the beginning of this school year for the past school year, and from there we will mark where we are and begin to build to where we want to get.
And just for in that one, can you just elaborate a little bit more on what the monitoring calendar is for us, and what does that mean to the board?
Okay, the monitoring calendar itself is there to ensure that the strategic plan is implemented and we carry it through, and we're intentionally taking time to check our progress in implementing as well as our progress in looking at the data that's supposed to tell us if we're going to reach the benchmarks we've set. So as Mr. Pohl works to meet with you next time to talk about implementing that calendar, he's going to be able to lay out to you how the committee will look, how it will be led, the operational pieces he will put in place, along with the central office leaders and principals who will be working each committee to ensure that the plan is implemented and carried out to the fullest.
Thank you.
It's aligned with like the accountability plan. It's the same process.
This is replacing, this would essentially at one point replace the accountability plan and become our new.
It will
Accountability
become
plan, right?
That was
our
my
driving force.
understanding
Yes.
of how this process would work,
Yes.
that we wouldn't
Ms.
have
Basim.
multiple plans.
So I had two questions, building off the comments my colleague just made and what Dr. Gibson just shared. So when you say report out on the measures, I just wanted, so the next meeting where we talk about this, we're going to receive the benchmark data with the targets?
The
or-
next meeting we have about this, we'll talk about the implementation timeline
Oh, okay.
on August 3rd.
Okay.
According to what I've read.
Okay.
Dr. Pohl will share the implementation timeline and how that implementation will be monitored. Our data comes in September from the state.
From the state,
The final,
right.
and once that
That
data
data,
comes in,
right.
it will benchmark us, and then from there, we will set benchmarks for improvement.
Okay, all right, and then the second question I have is, so will there be an opportunity for the community to provide feedback on this draft, before So that's what I was envisioning would happen. I know we got community voice in the, through the process, but now that this draft is, in this format and ready, for our approval before we approve it, I know in the past, that's what we've done was we've put it out for community feedback. Does this, reflect, the vision and the values of the community for a school district? And then, that's what I was envisioning coming back to vote at after that had, taken place.
So I guess you can look at it in two different ways, because the community's voice has worked alongside us in driving what this is right now.
Yes.
So I think really what it is that the administration needs clear direction from the board that this is the direction. You presented us a plan, we agree, continue to work in this direction, or we want you to make, based on what we have here, we've had it for about a month now, these are some of the changes that we think that you might want to look at, and for us as a board to find consensus around that and steer clear direction to the administration. We don't want to send you walking down and going down this road, and then all of a sudden we change and say that something needs to be something else.
Correct. In our development of the plan and the surveys and the time we spent talking and collaborating with the community, we took their ideas and used their ideas to develop the plan, along with the comprehensive needs assessment that we did in terms of looking at the accountability plan for the school division and looking at our data across the division as well. Since the time the accountability plan was actually developed. So we went to the history of the accountability plan, the history of our scores, our present day data and situation, what our families and community have been living through, and put all of that together and develop based on that input this plan. So I don't think we need to, at this point, go back and ask the community if they approve of the plan, because they've been waiting to see what we did with their feedback. And we've used their feedback to be here today to present this to you.
Thank you. Anyone, Ms. Campson?
Just to make
Okay,
sure
sorry.
that I'm clear on the terms you're using, because they kind of go back and where's it a goal, is it this, is it that? Well, when this plan is ready, it will tell us where we want to be in 5 years.
Yes, it will.
And that's our goal.
That is our ultimate goal, yes.
That's the goal.
Implementing with
So along
fidelity.
the way each year, we're looking at the benchmarks that get us toward the goal.
That's correct.
All right, I wanted to make that clarification because I'm seeing goal being dropped at after year 2. It gets a little confusing. So make sure that we all understand that we have our goals and that's where we want to be in 5 years. Fully accredited, everybody working on grade level, all those third graders reading on grade level, that's where we want to be. And these are the benchmarks that get us there, and we can see if we're off track.
Yes, by
Because
monitoring.
when we get to benchmark time at the end of year 1, year 2, it's going to tell us if we're on track or not.
Yes, that's
So
correct.
then we make our adjustments.
And yes, and just as we did throughout last year, as we looked at our STARS and PALS data, as we looked at our fall data from the SOL pretest, we looked at that data. We benchmarked our children as we walked through the year to make sure they were making progress. If they were not, we were implementing interventions to
Making
help them.
ongoing corrections.
To make sure that we saw that improvement.
So just so we make sure we're focusing
Yes.
on, this is where we want to be in 5 years.
Yes.
All right, thank you.
Dr. Gabriel?
Thank you, Mr. Clanton. I have 2 items of feedback on the proposed goals and the objectives, and then just one general comment. So under Goal 2 for workforce, under Objective 1,
What page is that?
that is
Page
page 8. Well, I'm sorry, I'm in the booklet.
Say,
I'm in
you
this
in the-
booklet.
Oh, this one? Okay, sorry.
Under page 8, it states, Objective 1, create programs, partnerships, and incentives to attract highly effective employees to MPS. I would like to add the word also retain. Attract and retain highly effective employees to NPS.
I don't have a hard copy. I think she just.
That would be one suggestion. The second item under workforce, Goal 2, would be, I would like to see an objective around pay. For example, you could have an objective that could potentially state, and again, I'm just For example, implement review processes to ensure competitive and equitable pay for all positions. But I think that under workforce development, we need to have something that explicitly states that we have an objective towards compensation. And I know that we can't guarantee high salaries for all. We're trying to do the best that we can with the funds that we have, but I think that we should make it explicit that we want to strive to offer competitive and equitable pay for all positions. And so I would ask if the board feels, without objection to that, that we add that as an objective. Number 3. That would be under goal 2, the workforce.
Okay.
Anybody want to comment on that, about adding a new objective to workforce in the 3? Yes, Mr. Jordan.
Yes, I have a comment, but I also like to see if we could just step through it, because I thought unless I'm reading it wrong, under resources, I thought that's what resources was. I don't have the booklet, so I'm just going by.
It's also
On board
I'm
docs too.
I'm looking on board docs. I'll just say people can show me the booklet. No, I'm looking at it. Yeah.
Okay.
It's just, I think the booklet might show it differently than how I'm looking at it.
Got it.
So I saw resources as a area unto itself. I assume that's a goal. Is that correct?
Correct.
It is.
And so that under resources, I thought that's where it was trying to reference, or could potentially reference, not just the allocation, but also maybe I'm reading it wrong, compensation. But I guess it might be helpful for me. I was thinking that they were just going to walk us through it, and then I would.
We've kind of already, nothing.
I mean,
Good.
I thought we were going to review the goals and objectives, right?
yeah, we're gonna go through. I'm just looking at time now.
I had 2 more comments
Okay,
there.
so let me go back. Dr. Gabriel said she had 2 more comments.
So, I mean, I feel like we heard the review when it was presented to us, and the charge was to go through and to look at each of the goals and bring back any feedback. So, under goal 5, safety and climate, I appreciate the word physical in the actual goal. Cultivate a safe and welcoming environment whereby the physical and social emotional needs of each student and member of the NPS workforce are valued. I would also state that make it its own objective. For example, under objective 2, you have proactively support the social and emotional needs of students. I would suggest in objective 3, proactively support the physical needs of students. And I know that the division is already doing many of those things already, but I think that the physical aspect of this deserves its own objective.
Ms. Bassett.
So can we like,
While we're
so
on
this
this
was,
one?
this is a good one that I too, and so I wanted to build off of, Dr. Gabriel's feedback too. So, and I really like what the intent is around this particular one. Part of my concern and is also a debate, going on across is just putting safety, when you start putting social and emotional needs and mental health needs under safety, it unintentionally implies, that someone with mental health challenges is deemed unsafe, or it creates an unsafe environment. And then how safety is defined can be different to different people. And so I really, really like, the terminology of being, a caring, caring climate and culture or something like that, to kind of encompass, I think, what is stated here, which is all, really good. But, just trying to I guess, frame it in a more positive way while still capturing, the intent that's here, as well as, what Dr. Gabriel is offering as a suggestion. But really just to have welcoming, safe, healthy, caring, and welcoming learning environments is kind of where I would like to see it broadened to include that piece, where it would include that. And I think that is some of the language that we had in the accountability plan.
Okay.
Could you restate
so
that?
my
like,
question-
succinctly? Could you
yes.
repeat that?
So I'm using, so, let's see.
I think
You
you're
have-
speaking
Yeah.
specifically about the goal, the wording in the goal.
That's
Yeah.
that's my
So
question.
cultivate a safe, healthy,
Healthy.
yeah, a safe, healthy, and caring learning environment. I mean, you could keep welcoming in there too, because we do want, I know that's something that we want to keep in there, whereby the physical and social and emotional needs of each student and member, I mean, the rest of it is just
My question, when you, in your words, it sounded more like you wanted the goal title to change.
I did. So I was also
Yeah.
suggesting that change.
Okay.
That's what you
So
So
said.
what are
instead of
you
safety-
suggesting?
So,
Cultivate
So
a
rather than
safe,
safety and climate, you want a
healthy,
different.
yeah, I'm thinking of just looking at, you have workforce resources, community,
So would it be
caring learning
healthy and
environments or.
caring learning environment, healthy and
or-
caring?
Healthy
I-
and caring, I think.
You know,
So
I-
cultivate a safe, healthy, caring, and welcoming environment whereby all of that.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
all right,
yeah.
all right.
I mean,
like
and that
the
might
word
be too
caring.
wordy. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm thinking off, I should have come up with a more succinct title like you have for the other ones, but, that's my thought process
And I do
around
like
that.
the word caring, because caring implies something, welcoming is what we are welcoming, but caring is like you're taking extra steps.
Right, and it's an ongoing effort.
It is,
It's
it is,
yeah,
it's like
so-
intentional.
And I like learning also, because I think learning is also, beyond just academics. So I do
Yeah.
like learning in safety and climate also.
Yeah.
I like the learning word in that also.
Yeah.
I think Dr. Martin wanted to add something to that.
I think I've captured her phrasing in the statement part. I'm trying to see if the title, Safety and Climate, if Ms. Basine is offering a new title other than Safety and
I think just the
Climate.
wording within.
Just the
it sounds
wording
like
within the
just
phrasing.
wording within the.
Defining that,
Within
or-
the goal, within the
Perfect.
goal.
But I
Okay.
was trying to take out this, when you start with safety and then you have the social and emotional, I just caution us, and this is nothing in, it's like people are trying to step away from implying that, individuals who may have behavioral or mental health challenges create an unsafe environment. So I was just trying to either include language that includes caring in that title, or somehow take out this, but safety is a big thing, so,
Dr. Martin.
I
My
don't know.
comment is that when I read this, safety and climate, and then I read the objectives that support it, it's very heavily on climate
yeah.
and less on safety. And I think that when the parents or public's reading this, they're expecting to hear something about security and, and
Right.
intentional measures of actual, like hard and soft security, I guess you'd say.
Yeah.
And I think that piece, that's missing from maybe an objective to.
Yeah.
Right, and that
Have
may,
address
an
that?
example of, that you'd like to share? We're
Well,
happy
I
to
don't
go
see.
back.
This is where I was like, well, does this fall under community engagement or not? Because I know we do work very closely with our city and our, our emergency management department, our police, and so on and so forth. So something to state that, that the objective is to maintain adequate security
objective.
by working with our, our community resources or public, what we're doing, what we're trying to do to actually our processes like checking IDs and just something, obviously I don't want it to be a whole drawn out, but come up with some succinct wording to say that we actually have safety protocols when it comes to our children and interacting with that line between school and community.
Right, and that could be why I'm feeling like safety being tied directly to the behavioral and emotional health.
Yeah, these both
Because
say
the
climate to
security-
me.
Yeah, they say climate, so that's why, anyway, I'm sorry.
So, Ms. Campson, you want to say something? Did you have something too, Mr. Jordan?
I'm not on this piece now.
Okay, cool. So, Ms. Campson, do you have a follow-up on this one?
That I agree with Dr. Martin is that's one thing that I noticed too, is that we know what's happening in the world, unfortunately, and I think that we need to have something stronger in here about what we're doing, because the safety is really based on what the adults do to make our schools safe. When I'm talking safety, I'm talking security here. Because there are other things for safety, but I think we need to have something that lets our very concerned parents, certainly I think we're all a little bit worried about when our child leaves for school now, and that we should have something that really lets them know what we're doing beyond what we're doing now. That's what I'd like to see, that as part of a goal, is that what's the goal here to make sure that we can always know that our children are safe in our schools.
May I ask a question? To what extent could you consider the safety and security protocols being a part of the organizational and operational pieces that don't necessarily need to be concretely written out in a strategic plan? Because those pieces have to be in place, and your overarching goal here is one of those social emotional learning pieces where you want to concentrate on not policing people, but on developing people's safety psychologically and emotionally. So I would think that what you're saying has to be done, but I don't think it should be written in a strategic plan. That's my take on what you're saying. It's very important. It has to be done, and perhaps someone else can explore that particular piece in terms of, does it fit here, or is it an operational piece that we do like we do fire drills?
So one thing about the plan.
Can I respond, since she was responding to me? Could I respond?
Sure. I think I was going to advocate for what you were.
Yeah, probably, but I think that we're at the point in this country where, yes, we do need to put it in here.
In a strategic plan.
I think, yes.
It needs to be an objective.
Well, right, it doesn't have to be its own little goal or its own, but an objective under there, yes. I think we need to flat out say it to our parents, because right now, I can't say that I feel that all of our schools are safe. We're putting more and more and more safeguards in them as quickly as we can. And I think that's what parents want to know. What are you doing to keep my child safe in this building?
Well, I don't think
It's
people
too
do
bad.
know, because what I'm hearing is people don't know about all of the safety protocols and security measures that are being put in our schools. They don't realize that we reached 100, at one point we did reach 100% SROs in our schools. And they want to hear that, and they're not hearing that at all.
And that's what it needs to be here, worded in this document, that these are what we're doing. I'd like to see it as an objective.
That we're committed to maintaining that.
And going
as a priority.
beyond
Yeah,
it.
I mean, a goal and level of commitment, and not necessarily getting into the operational piece of it. I think that that's where we get the reports saying these are the things that we're doing. But raising it to a level, I do agree, in the community, just in the environment that we're in right now, for everyone to know that there's a safe environment.
Safe and secure.
Safe and secure
Safe and
environment.
secure.
Yep. Did you want?
I was going to say that. So thank you all.
There's my
But
pen.
really and
Leave it
truly,
alone.
within the climate that we're in
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
And this is a document for all community stakeholders. And so when a parent picks this up, I'm sure they're going to want to see something about how are they keeping my child safe throughout the school day. And so it's clearly, so I think perhaps as an objective, we can come up with an objective around safety
That
and
addresses
security.
safety and
I'm not
security.
suggesting
And
that
we
we
have
goals.
all
Five
of those
goals
other
is
things to
plenty.
back up what we're doing, as you've mentioned.
Right.
Great conversation on that one. I know
Yeah.
Mr. Jordan had his hand up.
Yeah, but I don't want to, if.
You about to take us off this good discussion?
This safety and climate, so I don't want to, if that's.
Okay, is anybody else on safety and climate? I think we had a
I
nice
agree
list.
with adding it as a fourth objective.
Okay, everybody else, is there?
Third, a fourth, or a third.
She had
Yeah,
recommended
it is a
physical.
fourth object.
Oh, you already wrote yours in, okay.
Physical needs of
I already
students.
counted, see how
We'd already counted you
I
out.
slipped mine in there, guys? Fourth
So
objective.
we've got a third and a fourth addition in
Right.
here. All right,
Probably
everybody
those
good
committees we
on,
wanna
for the
have.
administration to
Right.
go clean that
Right
up?
there?
And got it. All
Okay.
right.
Thank you.
Mr. Jordan?
Okay. So I apologize to Dr. Gabriel. I wanted to, when I was saying I was trying to go in order, I was going by the,
What, 1, 2, 3?
yes, the
Yeah.
goals that they had. That's what I meant by that.
I got you.
And
Which one are you on now?
So I'm kind of going back up to the top.
Okay.
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 So just some feedback. So as I understand it right now, we're really having a discussion about the goals, objectives, and perhaps to some extent the measures. We're not voting or editing this document as it currently stands.
No.
Right.
We
I-
are discussing what
yeah,
edits
so-
need to take place.
Yeah,
You're
so
giving your
essentially, based on this
recommendations.
conversation that I'm gathering right now, is that we will not take an official vote, but we will, because I know there's some things that you need to wordsmith,
We're to get
but I
some
think that we need to
indication
send
of direction.
we need to send direction, that we like the direction you're going,
So this is
and that we come back and continue on.
okay. So I want to try to couch my comments in that context.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'm comfortable. I don't have any objection to the buckets. When I say buckets, the buckets of student excellence, workforce, resources, community, safety, and climate. I'm comfortable with those buckets. Whatever comes out in terms of how those, I guess they're called goals, are defined, I think you all can help us figure that out. What I do want to give some attention to is, so under each goal, there's a statement or descriptor of the goal. So I want to start with the student excellence one. So I would like to encourage or see something in the description that gives initial focus and attention to students excelling academically. Students, I'll just leave that, and that is the driver of student excellence, and that the student academic excellence and excelling will occur in an authentic, culturally relevant learning, so on and so forth. When I read the description, to me, the description provides emphasis on the environment, but it doesn't really speak to our expectation of students excelling in rigorous coursework, whatever that language may be. So that's my general comment. I don't have a suggestion for you. I'm just saying that when I see student excellence and then read the description, I think the first thing that should scream out is,
That's right.
I don't
yeah.
think it emphasizes
Yes.
academic
I agree.
achievement enough.
I think that's
so-
why I was having
Good point.
trouble with
right,
it,
so
yeah.
I don't want to wordsmith it. And if we do wordsmith it, then I want to write it down and send it to you, and we send you something collectively. Likewise, I kind of feel that way with some of the others. So even with the workforce. So while it speaks to, and this is where I thought Dr. Gabriel was going, and I was trying to be supportive. So we say attract, develop, and retain a highly effective workforce. I think we can say something stronger, and I thought what Dr. Gabriel was going was speaking to the competitiveness or having the something that's a little more oomph to it
Yeah.
than just attract, develop, and retain. And so for each of these, so I like the buckets. I think we can,
757.
I would like to encourage the committee to go back and look at if there are some ways to really strengthen and differentiate what we mean by these buckets and what it means for Norfolk Public Schools in this strategic plan. So I think you did a great job with the buckets. I'm encouraging something that has more definition and focus for the descriptions of those buckets, which then I think help to drive how you may describe the objectives or any consideration of what we may present or anybody else may present as far as objectives are concerned. And then on page 4, where it describes, it says measures are the specific outcomes that will tell us whether we are on track to meet our goals. So I don't think that language matches what we have in the measure box. Because on page 4, it talks about specific outcomes, but the measures in each box aren't specific outcomes. And so I think we either need to make sure what we mean by measures, or modify the measures even at this phase so that they are more specific. Because when I was saying earlier about, there's quality and quantity. So if we just say increase the percentage of something, and you go from 9% to 10%, we've increased that. But going back to what Mr. Clinton was saying earlier, if it's something that's more powerful, I would like to see us do that. Because as I was looking at the strategic plan and looking at what we did have in the accountability plan, what I thought I was seeing was that in the accountability plan, in language that we had under needs assessment, a lot of that language got turned into measures on this document. But I thought the power of what was being done in strategic plan was around some of the specific targets, and that's what I was thinking of in terms of a measure. So right now, for me, there's an inconsistency between saying that the measures are specific outcomes and then having tables that don't have specific outcomes. So
I think that term needs to be redefined.
Well, that's what I'm saying. 'Cause that's what
that the term does. I think the
agree.
measures are appropriate, especially when they are developed into SMART measures, if that's what you want to call them. We can certainly work on the definitions, and I just want the board to be mindful. We hired experts to help us with these definitions and to frame this plan. And as we're working, and of course this document belongs to all of us in the community, please be mindful that we work very closely with the community to come up with these goals and objectives, et cetera. So I just keep that in mind as you're working, because even as we were working as an administration, we were often reminded by our facilitator, okay, remember, this document represents, or whatever we were looking at the time, represents the thoughts, the feelings, the opinions of the community. So while you may believe this is important, this is what the community has said to you. The community has spoken to you. So I'm just asking the board to please be mindful of that as you continue to make all of these adjustments to the plan, which I know the board has the right to do.
And I respect that. And again, I brought up at the earlier presentation, I appreciate the outreach that went on with the community. I do think that moving forward, there's some additional work that we can do to try to make sure that the input we get from the community is reflective of the profile of the community. And I think what I saw from what was presented, that was a little out of sync. But in no way, and what I'm suggesting is meant to in any way underappreciate, or if that's a word, but not appreciate the feedback. I'm just simply saying that if the measure is a specific outcome, then let's make it a specific outcome. If it's not, then let's say what it is, so that when we send something like this out to the community, we are communicating clearly what we are saying as far as this being a strategic plan and what it looks like, what success looks like.
And Mr. Jordan, please know my comments weren't directed
Oh, no, that's
specifically
fine.
at you. That was just a general statement that I wanted to make.
Thank you.
As a
Those are my
reminder.
comments for now.
I think also,
So-
Mr. Jordan,
Go ahead, Doctor.
once you all approve the direction, and we begin to move in that direction, and we get our benchmarks in place, and those measures become more defined, and increments are set, the meanings of things will be clearer for all of us. We'll have that shared meaning, but we can certainly tweak the definitions to make sure that that shared meaning is there.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. As I was looking at it, as I'm looking at it from my community member hat and as a parent alumni hat, if we, based upon your outline, there was the conversation of doing a media blitz. So what I'm advocating is when the media blitz is done and that first impression is made into the community of what this strategic plan is, that if it's about pushing the envelope around excellence and student achievement, because that's why we're here, and then whatever we have, measures, whatever it is that ends up going into that green box, that it is something that is clear about how what we're putting in the green box around measures truly reflects the aspirational goal language and objective
Yes,
language that we have.
Of course.
And right now, I don't think it is as strong as it could be.
Okay.
So, colleagues, I think we've had a really good conversation on this. I think there's definitely warrants some additional conversation. What I'm, in the essence of time, what I'd like to do is an actual action of the board is not, in essence, approving the physical goals and objectives, because I think there are some wordsmithing, but I do want to be able to send a message from the board that we do endorse the direction. And for the administration, I think you've got some things to go back. And I think as a follow-up, to encourage each of you to continue to go through this document and to share your ideas on the various different goals and objectives, so that we can come back and to continue this conversation on August 3rd. Okay? Yes, sir.
Yeah, I support that. What I would ask, and this is in my conversation with you that we were having, if you say to us, or at least if you say to me, by July 31st, submit any comments you have in writing to you, I can follow that assignment. And then how whatever comes in gets put together so that the administration has it. I just think in some ways providing some of that feedback that way might give them an opportunity to have better feedback back to us than just doing it orally.
Got it. So I agree in the respect. So I'll send another tool out so that I can capture it, so you all can send feedback to me, and then I'll compile that together and then share that back with all of you all as colleagues. So you see the same thing that everyone else has is what we're sending over to the administration. What's that?
So I'm looking at the calendar.
Looking at the calendar.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. And so technically, the administration would have to post this presentation by no later than the 29th.
Next Friday.
So if that is the case, we need your written, compiled feedback as soon as possible, because,
When you say post
So
the
you're-
presentation, what
yeah.
is that? What are you referring to?
So in other words, if the administration comes back for our August 3rd meeting,
Oh.
with any adjustments, they need some time to do that. So
I see.
today's Wednesday. If I set a deadline of Sunday for you all to get back, to continue kind of wordsmithing things here so that I can at least send something else out, that would give the administration at least some time during the week.
we would get it on, what, Monday or
You'll
Sunday
have it first
night?
thing Monday
Monday
night,
morning on the 25th.
on the 25th. And that's why I'll do it as a form so they can just capture all the information together. And then it'll help with the form, so that I can be able to send that to you first thing. So is everybody good with that? Sunday deadline, we get it to the administration so that they can do work on it throughout the week. We can have it posted on Friday, and then we'll be in preparation for us on August 3rd.
And then on August 3rd, we are going to, as a board, have consensus around the direction for the feedback that has been received, so that way the superintendent has clear direction on what is going to be the hard and fast end result of what is in that book.
Definitely, and we're also
As far as
getting
the
a,
goals and objectives.
correct, and we're getting an update on the the reporting timeline, monitoring timeline? on the
Monitoring
3rd.
timeline,
Yep.
that's correct.
So we're going to continue to walk through this process now that the board is coming here. But again, on the decision discussion here, I just want to take a motion that to send clear direction that we support the efforts of the administration and for them to continue on, okay? So the other item here, in the short amount of time, I know that we were at board governance and retreat, and we talked about board committees. We've had a follow-up discussion with our governance trainer. She's provided some additional information regarding committees and how it would work in potential in a new structure. So what I'm asking of my colleagues here is that we don't take action on changing anything right now. So whatever committees you're serving on, you maintain those committees, but this will be a part of our follow-up governance training on the 17th. And Valda, our trainer, has provided some additional documents regarding that I will share with you all this evening so that you can begin to kind of review and look at that as that will continue the conversation, okay? Everybody good with that? Yes,
What
Dr.
about
Moore.
your committees?
Hmm?
Your committees, are you going to continue on the policy committee and so forth?
For right now, we'll make any, so once we have this conversation on the 17th of August and decided on what they're going to be, because some of them, there's some proposals to change some of those names and as far as direction, and I want to make sure that everybody's on that one. So if we're good, just everybody stay where we are. Just know that by August, we'll be making some adjustments with the input of the board. That cool?
That's easy for me because I'm not on.
Yeah, you get to chill out for a little bit.
And you want to be on the policy committee.
But don't worry, be careful what you ask for.
Just guess that.
All right, so, I just want to make sure. So yes, sir.
Just for clarity, because we only have 2 committees, right? No, board committees.
Facility, there's
Facilities and
legislative,
policy, right?
There's legislative,
legislative,
there's,
I mean,
yeah, there's some other
Ad
things.
hoc.
But I think that you will even, embrace some of the recommendations that she has in there, Mr. Jordan.
Even me?
No, even you. No, that's fine. No, but I think there's some language that you would probably like in there. So just so that,
No, I'm fine with
no.
it. I just want to make sure right now, when you say committees, it's really primarily those 2.
yeah,
right?
policy and
facilities.
facilities right now,
Okay,
yeah.
all right. Thank
And
you.
then if you're serving on any, like governor's school, or if they have any meetings that may
Yeah, those
cover.
are-
Yeah, those are.
Yeah, those are kind of in there. I just want to make sure that everybody's clear. So I do have an amendment to the agenda. Just like what we started in governance training, just before we adjourn, I'm going to afford every member 2 minutes on a round robin to share something positive about your experience in Norfolk Public Schools and what you may have been doing.
Without any notice ahead, you're dropping this on us?
Say what?
We got it anyway, I'm sorry.
You got 2 minutes, so 2 minutes to say something nice. And board calendar, everyone has that, right? And this just kind of lay it out there so that everybody kind of know when we're meeting. All right, is there,
The board calendar is just draft right now, right?
we're going to approve the calendar so we can just get the dates down there, but know that they're subject to change with input from the group. But I want to at least get something out there so you can start to at least look at what days we're identifying for work sessions and board meetings.
We're going to approve that later.
Yes.
We're going to do that. We're going to do, that's on the agenda today. That's just so that we can get going, but know,
Okay. When we get to that, I do have some feedback.
okay.
Yeah, so do I.
Okay, cool. That's when we have discussion down there. So, we're gonna take a 5-minute recess so that we can start at 7:05, and we will adhere to our time so that we can get out of here. Thanks. We're going to call the meeting to order. Madam Clerk, will you call the roll?
Basine?
Here.
Sampson?
Here.
Gabriel?
Present.
Jordan?
Here.
Martin?
Present.
Rousen? Here. Clanton?
Present. Good evening, everyone. The next item that we have on the agenda is item 4.03, adoption of the business agenda. I would like to offer an amendment by changing item 7.01, school board meeting adjournment, and moving that to 7.02 and adding at 7.01 a round robin, which will be 2 minutes of school board members. We'll have 2 minutes each to share something positive about your experience and what you're doing here in Norfolk Public Schools. So with that, do I hear a motion to accept the amended agenda?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the amended agenda.
All right, thank you. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All right, thank you. I hear you, Dr. Rouse, in a second. Is there any discussion?
Just, sorry, one question. On the citizens' comment, is it intended that we don't have a citizens' comment on non-agenda items?
It is. For the month of July and August, we will just be dealing with the agenda items. We will be having a longer discussion with the board as we come back in September for what citizen comment will look like as we're talking about our agenda planning.
Okay, well, I would just like to recommend going forward that we maintain the opportunity for citizens' comment until such time we're able to have that discussion as a whole.
And for clarity, Mr. Jordan, there is an opportunity for citizen comment regarding to business items. There is an opportunity for citizen comment related to the agenda.
Oh, no, I understand.
I got you. Mhm. But as far as non-agenda items, we won't return to that until September. Okay?
Right, okay. I don't agree with that. I think we should discuss that as a board.
Okay. As our policy states, the chair, vice chair, and the superintendent to decide on the agenda, and we have this opportunity here. But in the best interest of making sure that we can keep the main thing, that is the agenda we have presented here today. Is there any other discussion? Right. Hearing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Basine? Hampson?
Aye.
Gabriel?
Aye.
Jordan?
Nay.
Martin? Rousen?
Aye.
Clanton?
Aye. The ayes have it, and the motion carries. If you will please stand, we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Right, thank you. You may be seated. We'll now have the superintendent's report. Dr. Birdsong.
Good evening, and thank you all for being here this evening. As always, on a monthly basis, I'd like to share with you the wonderful things that our children are doing throughout this summer. I'm happy to share a variety of events. Also, we had an amazing community kickoff with our faith-based partners. I could have never imagined that we would have so much support during the summer, during lunchtime, and so you'll get to see some of that during the video footage as well. And again, I'd like to thank Dr. White for all that she did in helping to organize and coordinate that opportunity. Again, it was an amazing time, and it was a great time. So I thank the community for coming out and supporting the children of Norfolk Public Schools. Thank you so much. And now the video.
For the past year and a half, 3 juniors in Granby High School's International Baccalaureate program have been working on a special project that will be going up to space in a Blue Origin rocket. This amazing opportunity became a reality when their proposal won the American Institute of Aeronautics and Astronautics Design Build competition for high schoolers. Their experiment, an acoustic levitator, is scheduled to launch sometime this year.
An acoustic levitator is pretty much a device that can levitate particles using sound waves. So it creates a standing wave by putting 2 identical waves against each other, creating areas of high pressure called antinodes and low pressure called nodes. So you can levitate very light things in the nodes since it doesn't provide much force with sound waves.
Down here we know what's going to happen. We know that the styrofoam ball is going to levitate. We know in space it's probably going to work the same way, but what we don't know is how it's going to levitate a metal ball. We know on Earth it doesn't really work, and we think on space it will work, but we want to see the extent to which it's successful.
As they continue to meet online with representatives from Blue Origin and work to complete their experiment, these students, along with their mentors and teachers, are enjoying this incredible process every step of the way.
It feels very crazy, you know. I dream to be an aerospace engineer since I was a child, and when I was a child, I did not know that I would be able to work on something and send it to space. I always thought that I would do that way later after I graduate from college and then get a job, and so this is just a unbelievable experience.
NPS students in grades 3 through 7 enjoyed a 2-week Green STEM summer experience at Camp E.W. Young. This camp, which took place in a unique forest environment, enabled students to participate in a variety of STEM activities, including robotics and flying drones, outdoors.
This morning we did drones, and for drones we were doing tasks, tests, and competitions. I chose to come out to this camp because it's STEM, and STEM is cool, and I know like in STEM you get to learn a lot of things about science, math, and technology, and it just seemed pretty cool.
It's a great opportunity for our students to benefit from teacher best practices. We're able to take the instructional content outside and have students experience the objectives in a real world situation. Our students, they enjoy learning with the hands-on activities. We challenge them to think critically, and they are afforded various opportunities to work collaboratively with their classmates. I just love seeing the kids have a good time, and we're kind of able to do out-of-the-box activities. So I love that for our students, and they learn a lot more that way.
High school students taking advanced placement courses in the fall had the opportunity to attend the AP Summer Academy at the Academy for Discovery at Lakewood. The program, which lasted 2 weeks, allowed students to choose one of 8 courses each week that were designed to give them a preview of their upcoming AP class.
We've been doing a lot of hands-on labs, a lot of vocabulary introduction, and just giving them a foundation so that if they decide to take the AP Biology course, they'll be prepared. Today we're doing dissections. We started small with the earthworm, and then we moved up to the sea star with the hopes of getting to the pig later.
It's going pretty good. The earthworm, it was good. We found out that earthworms have 5 hearts, so that's weird. And they produce carbon dioxide, so that's another thing that helps with the planet. And starfish, I found out they have like these little squishy things in the middle of them, which was weird.
I'm taking AP US History, and basically we've been talking about the American Revolutionary War and going over like the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, George Washington. I'm already taking AP classes at Granby because I'm in the IB program, so I feel like it would be better like if I got like a little head start for when I go back this school year.
First and foremost, I hope they get excited about the AP class that they're going to be taking in the fall. Love of learning is really important, and if we can get the kids excited about, a cool biology experiment or a great debate in government or a really complicated calculus problem before they walk in the door in September, they're already going to have that sense of excitement coming into the class, and that's what I'm really hoping that they get from this experience.
Norfolk Public Schools welcomes special guests to its Faith-Based Partnerships Community Kickoff at Norview High School. During this event, members from the faith community were able to directly connect with school staff, and both principals and pastors alike had the opportunity to share the positive impact of their current partnerships. With approximately 200 people in attendance, hopes are high that more connections will be made between schools and the community.
I feel like everything went excellent. I love the drum line and the cheerleaders. Everyone felt as though they were truly welcome when they came in, and then to have an opportunity to observe everyone collaborate over lunch and just to come into the auditorium and take part in the program and hear the excitement and just to see how everyone just, the synergy in the room was just truly amazing.
It was amazing. The turnout shows really the passion that the community has to support Norfolk Public Schools and their students. I know when Dr. White initially asked us to come and speak, no problem, 20, 30 people, and then to have over 100, 150 community members coming out to support our children is just amazing.
I think that NPS has to, as we're coming out of the pandemic, this is an opportunity for us to put us on a trajectory that will really let the community know that our doors are open, that your participation is important. What we do in the classroom is important, but the community, whether or not it's a business or a faith leader, that you are valued and your input and your support is an integral part to the entire success of everybody.
This was a dream come true. The faith community has been yearning to partner with Norfolk Public Schools, and today was the kickoff of that opportunity that we get to serve firsthand with not only the administrators, but more importantly, with the children of Norfolk Public Schools.
Norfolk Public Schools partnered with the Don Carey Reach Foundation to hold a 2-day summer STEAM and athletics camp at Booker T. Washington High School. This camp, which was free to any child in Norfolk ages 6 to 17, provided students with hands-on activities designed to teach them about STEM while they're having fun.
We utilize sports as a hook to educate students about STEM jobs in the area. You see behind us different STEM vendors within Hampton Roads that partner with us to expose our students to the possibilities that could be in their futures.
It's going great. We have vendors from Norfolk State. We have vendors from the Jefferson Lab. We have vendors that are able to make clouds. We have someone here that is showing the students how to take lyrics and working with science. So we have a little bit of everything. Robotics from TCC. It's a great, great time.
Right now it's going beautiful. The kids are having fun. They're learning new things. Everybody's smiling. Parents are helping. Volunteers are helping. It's a great environment. This shows them more than just basketball or football or sports. It's science. It's art. It's so many different vendors here to show them so much more parts of the world rather than just what's at ground level.
Congressman Bobby Scott got a first-hand look at our summer meals program when he stopped by Norview Elementary in July. During his visit, he observed teaching and learning in one of our classes, explored the partnership with the recreation center next door, and headed over to the cafeteria to enjoy a school lunch with administrators and students.
Well, this is good to see how the programs actually work. The people are in school doing constructive things, not out on the street getting in trouble. So the summer program is extremely valuable. The feeding part of the summer programs are also valuable because it means the kids will actually show up. These programs at this site and 1,000 other sites around the state were about to evaporate if we didn't pass legislation at the last minute, and I'm glad we did, so that we can keep these programs going.
We have students from the 2 schools that are coming to summer school here. We had some kids from the rec center come over, and we also had some members of the general public just joining us to eat today. So it was awesome. Every day that we get to feed kids is an awesome day.
It's great to have Congressman Bobby Scott here. He's the chairman of the House Education and Labor Committee, and he's been a true champion for all of our public education, and particularly the meals program. I think the Congressman got a very an eye-opening experience to kind of see the work that he's doing on the federal level and how it's being implemented at the local school level. So I think it was very successful today.
Thank you. That concludes my report.
Thank you, Dr. Birdsong. Madam Clerk, we're now at citizens' comments on agenda items only.
Chairman Clanton, for tonight's citizens' comments on agenda items only, we have one speaker with the agenda item topic of school security from today's workshop discussion. Today's speaker signed up for public comments before the start of today's business meeting. If you would like to provide public comments for agenda items only for the months of July and August, you're required to state the agenda item or items you are addressing prior to providing your public comments at this meeting. When your name is called, please come forward to the speaker's podium. State your name and whether you have a child in Norfolk Public Schools or if you are employed by the district, and state your agenda item or items. One person is to speak at a time. If you are representing a group, state the group's name. You may ask your group members to stand in place to be recognized. Speaking time is limited to 3 minutes. A timer is set with an alarm that will signify the end of your speaking time. State your position and give facts and other relevant data. Avoid saying anything that identifies students or personnel information about individual employees. Personnel, disciplinary, and confidential matters may be addressed to the school board directly via email at schoolboard@NPSK12.com. Comments should be addressed to the board and not addressed to an individual member. School board members do not respond to public comments at the time they are given. Any written statements or supporting materials should be given to the clerk. And prior to this, she wanted these items passed down. And the individual here this evening is Amber Taylor.
Welcome, Ms. Taylor.
So y'all talked in my name's Amber Taylor. Y'all talked in your strategic plan in one of the objectives.
Taylor, can you please state and follow the instructions and state the topic that you're speaking about tonight?
It's school security.
Okay, thank you.
And it is an objective in the strategic plan that y'all have. Last month, I told you that I got into a school. This month, it happened again in June, the last day of school. Parents want to know that our babies are safe. We don't want that phone call that those Texas parents had. We can't let anybody and everybody in. And in the email, as you can see, I have more copies for those who want them. It says that we're not doing that, But I have video evidence today from those 2 schools on the last day of school that says we are. We're just ringing the doorbell, how may I help you, and let in. Nobody knew I was going. A friend of mine asked me to take her kids' food because they thought there was no food that day. So I was like, yeah, sure, I'll go. Took it, rang the doorbell, and just got in. That's not okay. That's what parents are terrified of. And when I email the superintendent's office, I get no response. No response from most of y'all. Like, my child's not in school yet, but if I can't get a response now, I can't put him in your schools. So that's all we want. I've been an approved volunteer since June 2nd. Nobody's reached out. I've reached out to the volunteer coordinator and the public community rep. Nothing back. And other school districts don't let drivers in. Why are we just letting everybody in? We're not checking IDs until we're in the building. I've got the video evidence. If you want to see it after this meeting, I'll stay and show you. I don't mind. It was 2 schools, Crossroads and Blair. All we ask for is honesty, transparency, consistency, and accountability. And with y'all being silent, I can't hand my kid over. He will not be in Norfolk Public Schools until this is fixed. We need to have conversations about this. So I can only imagine how our kids feel when they come to y'all for help. Thank you for your time. You've got my phone number. You can reach out at any time.
All right, thank you, Ms. Taylor, and you will be hearing from me. Are there any other public comments?
This concludes our speakers for this evening.
All right, thank you, Madam Clerk. We're going to go ahead now to the approval of the consent agenda. Do I hear a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Mr. Chairman, I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Thank you. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Great, thank you. Mr. Jordan has expressed that he'd like to participate in discussion on a particular item.
Just had a question on the use of facilities report. There's an item towards the bottom. It has Suburban Park Elementary School transportation services for buses for $2,600. I just want to know if you can elaborate what that references, charging Suburban Park for use of buses for some reason.
Dr. Birdsong, do you know?
I could have been prepared to answer that, so I'm not sure what that is all about. So, Mr. Jenkins, and I'm sure, unless you already know, Mr. Jenkins, since that goes through your office.
I would rather get back.
Yes, I think it's best that we be able to do our research and then respond on that.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. So, Mr. Jordan, you're fine with the administration following up with you?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, great. Is there any other additional discussion? Chairing here none. Madam Clerk, we call the roll.
Basine?
Aye.
Campson?
Aye.
Gabriel?
Aye.
Jordan?
Aye.
Martin?
Aye.
Rousen?
Aye.
Clanton?
Aye. All right, we're now in 6.01, monthly financial report. Mr. Jenkins.
Good evening. If I can just ask you a question, are you starting with gifts and donations or your regular report?
Beg your pardon?
Are you starting with gifts and donations or your regular
The regular
report?
report. Gifts will be
Okay.
second. Thank you. Okay, good evening, Chairman Clanton, Vice Chair Dr. Gabriel, Dr. Birdsong, members of the board. We'll review the monthly financial report for June. The June report covers 12 months for the year that started a year ago. Please be aware that this is still an interim report or preliminary report, as our finance staff continues to process transactions for last year. Based on the information recorded last week, we had collected $341.7 million of general fund revenue. This was 95.8% of the $356 million budget. Collections during the same period in the previous 2 years range between 98 and 99% of the budget. We anticipate another $5.5 million in sales taxes will be credited during the months of July and August. Page 3 includes two graphs, one for revenue and the other one for spending each month. The graph presents the monthly revenue and spending for the current and 2 previous years. The monthly budget trend is in the green background. On page 4 of the highlights, we provide a graph of revenue and spending for the current fiscal year. By the end of June, we had spent $336.6 million, or 95.8% of our budget. And you can see revenue was $341.7 million. During the previous 2 years, spending ranged between 93 and 94% of the budget, so we are slightly ahead of the 2 previous years. Note on page 5 that actual revenue collections are $5.1 million ahead of expenditures in the general fund. And as I said before, the financial statements will change as we continue to post transactions for fiscal 22. More detailed information is available starting on page 7. If you will refer to page 17 for the large budget transfers recorded during the month of June, we recorded 6 transfers greater than $50,000. The total of these transfers was $2.87 million. The transfers ensure the replacement of security cameras, service vehicles, athletic tracks at 2 high schools, and telephone systems at several schools. We also addressed rising casualty and liability insurance and the continuation of the educational planning contract. The quarterly grant status report begins on page 18. As with the general fund, the finance staff continued to process grant transactions for last year. The available balances will decline as grant expenditures are recorded. Of the $271 million of active grants, we had spent or encumbered $132.6 million, or 48.9% of the award. The largest single award was provided by the American Recovery Plan. It expires in September of 2023. As of the end of June, we had obligated $14 million of the nearly $114 million award. Finally, a separate schedule is provided for donations and gifts received by schools during the previous 3 months. Gifts totaled $109,997. The largest single source came through Donors Choose, followed by a gift from the Jerry Sazio Football Scholarship Foundation. We ask that you accept these gifts for the purposes stated in the report. Chairman Clanton, that concludes my comments. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to try to answer. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Jenkins. Do I hear a motion to adopt the financial report?
I move to adopt the financial report as presented.
Great, thank you, Dr. Martin. Do I hear a second?
I second.
All right, it's been moved and properly seconded that we adopt the financial report. Is there any discussion?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Mr. Jordan?
Just a couple of things on the main report and then one on the donation report. I'm still on the budget transfers. So, for example, the year-end purchase for division-wide security camera replacement. So, is that something that we did not? Can you explain how that came up? And is this saying we did not budget for it? We had a need, and then we made the transfer because it was an emergent need that came up?
I think that's a pretty good statement of what had happened. This was a budget request for fiscal 23, the year that we are now in order to balance a budget. In effect, we had decided we would use the surpluses that were in the primarily in the salary and benefit accounts, I believe, although there may be, these are mostly salary and benefits. So the attrition savings or vacancy savings would be put towards this particular purpose, replacing security cameras.
Okay, I think I'm a little more confused. So what you're saying that we had money that would be savings at the year carry forward funds, but we decided to make this purchase now rather than making it with the carry forward funds. Is that what I'm understanding?
Well, we decided that we would spend the funds, we would use the funds during the current year to buy the security equipment that had been requested for next year.
So then the budget that we just passed, then we would make some adjustments because we're in essence purchasing what we budgeted for in the upcoming year ahead of time.
There was a request for it to be included in the budget, but it was not included in the 23 budget.
All right, thank you.
So we decided to advance fund it in the current year.
Okay. And then similarly, oh no, I think that was the main thing. And then on the report with Donors Choose and the gifts and donations, the instructional supplies for teachers, Crossroads came in at $42,714. Do you know what the instructional supplies that would have come to that amount that would need to be secured through Donors Choose versus being provided through our budget?
The gifts and awards that are made through Donors Choose are based on proposals that individual teachers place on the Donors Choose website. So it's really based on materials, and so they're generally materials, but they could be services that teachers have indicated they needed in order for a specific project. Generally, it's going to be a learning-based project, and they have solicited funds through the Donors Choose. So they've made a proposal, and people react to the proposal by giving gifts, by donating through that website.
Yeah, I appreciate that, and I guess what I would just encourage for the board and the superintendent to consider as we move forward with our budgeting process, when I see something that's of that amount, I take it without having the details as an indication that schools or teachers may feel that they are not receiving base instructional supplies that we could provide for them through our budget. And so I would like for us, whether it's through the strategic planning process or whatever the process is going forward, to just make sure that we have a good understanding of what the needs are in the classroom and do as best we can to budget for them, especially if they are base needs, because that amount just kind of caught my attention. Mm-hmm. The other thing that I think we also need to revisit, I think in our equity policy, we also look at how we account for what's provided on a base basis as well as what may be provided through gifts and donations. And so I don't want us to lose sight of, as we look at donations, trying to make sure that that we are providing equitable supports and resources through our budgeting process, and then also being mindful of how additional resources are coming into the school division that could lead to inequities if we're not monitoring it well. So, thank you.
I would like to offer that this is, in all likelihood, several teachers. It's not a single teacher.
Oh, no, I
So
understand.
it could be dozens.
No, I support Donors Choose. I think they have offered school divisions special ways that we can partner with them. I think it's a great program. I'm just saying that having donated to Donors Choose, that when I see a teacher requesting something at this level, I'm just curious as to whether or not they are requesting it through Donors Choose because they feel that they aren't getting it through our budget process. That's all. All right, thank you.
All right, thank you, Mr. Jordan. I'd just like to add on that one. that we can't assume what the teacher's intention or teachers' intentions are when it comes to using a platform like Donors Choose. Coming from an environment of fundraising, it's to make the connection with the community, the broader community, just like what we saw with the faith-based community, with specific projects that say, we want your support. I understand, I look at that as a large number, but like you said, that could have been a group of teachers there. I do recall working here, and I remember a school getting a greenhouse because they wanted to give their students a teacher, and for an entire fourth grade level, wanted to provide a greenhouse at the school so that their children, their students, could have hands-on learning. So I appreciate Donors Choose, and I appreciate those who contribute to Donors Choose and support our classrooms.
Yeah, I think, and I just want to be clear, I'm not trying to make an assumption. I'm just going by the information that's provided, and that it, to me, as we just talked about our strategic planning and we talk about equity and opportunity, that we're just being mindful that we're reaching that goal. That's all.
Definitely, thank you. Is there any additional discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, call the roll.
Basine? Aye. Campson? Aye. Gabriel?
Aye.
Jordan?
Aye.
Martin?
Aye.
Rousen?
Aye.
Clanton?
Aye. All right, financial report accepted. And we're on item 6.02. We had a great discussion, what I thought was very productive regarding the strategic plan. What we have here talks about strategic plan, continuing the drive, goals and objectives. We're not going to approve the goals and objectives. I think that we have some work that we're going to continue to do on that, and the board has agreed to solidify and bring some additional information so we can provide. But what I do want to do is take a motion from the board to signal to the administration that we approve of the process and what you're doing, and to continue to send a clear direction that we want you to continue this work. So with that, do I hear a motion to,
Mr. Chairman, if I may provide a motion. Yes. The board supports the strategic planning process and the goal setting that the division and administration, specifically Dr. Birdsong, has presented to the board, and we support the continued movement forward with the addition of the feedback provided.
Great, thank you. Do I hear a second?
Second.
All right, it's been moved and properly seconded. Is there any additional discussion? All right, the chair hearing none. All those, oh, did I see a hand? Okay. Madam Clerk, can you call the roll?
Basine? Aye. Campson?
Aye.
Gabriel?
Aye.
Jordan?
Aye.
Martin?
Aye.
Rousen?
Aye.
And Clanton?
Aye. Motion approved. The next item is item 6.03, school board calendar for school year 23. Let me get a motion to adopt the proposed calendar.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we adopt the proposed school board meetings, training, and conference calendar.
Thank you, Dr. Gabriel. Do I hear a second?
Second.
It's been moved and properly seconded that we adopt the proposed school board calendar for school year 23. Is there any discussion? I think, Mr. Jordan?
Yeah, I'd like to ask the board to consider a couple of amendments.
Okay.
One, each year we often have a November meeting that runs in conflict to the VSBA annual convention. And I would ask if the agenda planning committee would go back and look at possibly moving the November 16th meeting to earlier, or perhaps just have one meeting in the month of November, so that we can, at least those who are willing, can fully participate in the annual convention. The other item is on the governance training dates. I don't know if that is specific to the governance training that we're doing with the Valbrun group, or is that if that's just the board doing ongoing governance at those meetings. But if it's the one dealing with the contract, I think those are potentially. I sent you an email. I couldn't remember the exact length of time, but I thought those might be 6-hour sessions. And if that's the case, I would ask that we come back and revisit the allocation or the designation of school board governance on those particular dates until we get clarity on.
So if I may, Mr. Jordan, on that one, I did receive your email regarding that, and Dr. Gabriel and myself did have a follow-up conversation and a conversation with the attorney Cloud. We're in the process of amending the contract. That will not be so restrictive to say 6 hours, but up to 6 hours. That will allow us to have more flexibility regarding the time that's needed. But this is we are trying to also keep governance training on dates that we're already meeting, so that we can be respectful of all the members' time.
Yeah, so I support the idea of trying to do it on specific dates.
Mm-hmm.
My recommendation or amendment would still be that we make the adjustment after the board votes on the amended contract, because right now, as we discussed the contract, I thought we were kind of specific about what we were doing. If we're going to make the adjustments, which I don't have any objective to, I think we should amend the contract first and then have the board calendar reflect it versus doing it at this way at this time. So those are my two recommended.
Okay. So hearing the recommendations from Mr. Jordan, one being VSBA, November 16th. I know Dr. Birdsong would love to just have one meeting that month.
And the team.
See how she put y'all out there?
Their smiles are coming up on their faces.
So I'm not going to say take off a total meeting, but I'm going to say that we won't meet on the 16th, that we'll come back, Mr. Jordan, and find out if we can make it a hybrid meeting, just to keep some flexibility if we need additional time. Mr. Jordan, I'll also, if the rest of the board agrees to no objection, that we, as far as the governance training that says tentative, that we hold off, we take that piece off here today until we have our final meeting with, we have our follow-up meeting with the development group, and we provide a formalized calendar for you, okay?
And I see that my colleague, Ms. Basine, has her hand up. I did have one other item.
Okay, Ms. Basine, what you got? I'm sorry.
Well, you started to touch on that last part. So if we're going to remove the school board governance training at this moment till you have that discussion, and we're offered the opportunity to vote on the amended contract, I'll reserve, my comments till I see that.
Okay. So, and I'll just say,
I had similar concerns as
understood. So, if everyone's amenable, what I'll do is I'll place this item for reconsideration for us on the August 3rd meeting. Okay, and that'll give us enough time to go back, and we'll also look at the November meeting. But you're right, it typically falls on that third Wednesday, and we do have a conflict with that one. Dr. Martin, you had something? I mean, Dr. Gabriel, you had something? I'm so sitting next to her for so long.
However, with regards to the governance training, I would say that we do have a proposed meeting on August the 17th, is that correct?
Yes.
And so this does not preclude the fact that we have that placeholder for August the 17th for the training. And again, in order to give everyone as much time, including our trainers, the ability to plan their schedule, that's why we have it there. So I accept that, but I just want to make sure we keep in mind that we are still having the training on the 17th.
And I thank you for bringing that up, Dr. Gabriel. Colleagues, if you will look on August 3rd, that meeting will start at 2 o'clock and not 4 o'clock. August 17th, that meeting will start at 12 noon and not at 4 p.m. Okay?
Oh.
Yes.
I think that would be helpful to take the calendar and put that start times.
August 3rd.
And maybe get that out to us next week or something, so we can put it in our calendars.
Yeah. So I'll instruct the clerk to go ahead and send out calendar invites, so they're all on everybody's calendar, so they'll pop up, and then also give you a clean sheet with these.
Clean sheet of that with the starting times.
With the starting times. Yep. Okay.
Thank you
Mr.
very
Chair.
much.
Yes, Mr. Jordan.
One other item is you're looking at the calendar.
Sorry.
On December 14th, where it references potential date for public hearing, is that related to the budget process?
Yes, and that particular meeting will not be here. It'll be at a school.
Well, yeah. So what I wanted to ask that we also have an opportunity to discuss is, this past year we just had one public hearing. If the plan is going to be to have one public hearing again
It's multiple.
There's multiple this year.
There's multiple.
We took feedback back from that, and as we developed that, there's at least December 14th.
Where's the other one listed?
I know we talked about it. Did it not make the calendar?
There's supposed to be another one in March.
We accounted for
Wait a minute,
3.
February 1st?
No, that was the presentation of the budget. It was in March.
Okay.
It was in March.
You'll see additional meetings here, but we agreed with that, and we accounted for additional meetings at that time.
Yeah, there will be
Yes.
2 public hearings this year on the budget.
Yes.
Okay.
We did talk about that.
Okay, thank you.
I didn't make the calendar.
All right.
Mr. Clanton,
Yes.
the other thing we had done, a couple years ago is reserved, every Wednesday, just in case, so that we could have, robust conversations around the budget, and if there was anything that needed to, where we needed to continue discussion. In the month of March, we just kind of had as a placeholder so that the board members knew that it might be another opportunity to come back and continue discussion, but to hold that time.
Yep. I agree with you, Ms. Basine, in that respect, that we do need to have an additional discussion. I'm placing this down here as a placeholder in the month of March. And what I'll do is I'll send kind of like a doodle poll like I did with everybody, just to see where we can find consensus on the date that we can meet, okay? Does that work?
It was March 22nd.
March 22nd. So if everyone can make note, March 22nd, placeholder for board continued budget discussion.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Is there anything else? Okay, thank you. With that, Madam Clerk, will you please call a roll?
Basine?
Aye. Wait, are we, I thought we were.
I thought you said you were reconsidering it.
Yeah, I thought we were.
Yeah, you were going to reconsider.
Oh,
Yeah,
you know what? You're
that's
right.
right.
Thank you. All right. I'm just trying to get y'all out of here. No, so we're going to table this item to August 3rd, okay? Without any objection? All
With
right.
the direction of bringing back the revised school board calendar on August 3rd for vote.
Correct. Yep.
Okay.
All right. All right, so with that, we are at almost ready to go here. As I mentioned, we amended the agenda. I just want, share 2 minutes, round robin of something good that you've been doing. Maybe you've been out to visit something at a school or at summer school. So I'm just going to start with my left. I'm sorry, I'm putting you on the spot, Ms. Basine.
I have to go first with every vote, and now I'm going first. Well, it has been really nice, wonderful to see all of the activity that has been happening at summer schools and the great hands-on learning that is taking place at many of our summer camps. So that's been truly a wonderful thing. I will then go to my right, to Ms. Campson, to offer any other further thoughts.
Well, I think the thing that I've noticed the most is just how well attended and exciting the choices are that we have for summer school. Kind of piggybacking on what you've already said, biggest summer school that we've ever had this year, and all of it free to our children.
Last year, but second highest this year.
Oh, okay. Oh, just correct me. Do we have all the cameras rolling? For her correction.
No, I didn't want it to be brought up later that.
But second place. It's been very exciting. I really like the fact that we are not charging anyone to go. All the children are invited to go, and and when I see the STEM projects, and it's just wonderful. And it's I like the fact that we have identified the children that were struggling at the end of the year, as demonstrated by the testing, and that all of those children had the opportunity to come in to have a focus on the skills. That's the use of data. That's the wonderful use of it. It tells us not to just do some generic, making up. It sends those kids in for very focused instruction to pick up on whatever skill they were missing. And so from that, we then go to even the kids that can just go for fun even if they're just coming for fun. And when I see any of the STEM stuff, it is fun. I'm not sure that is cool. That's more like playtime. So I think that that's the big thing that I'm taking at this point with this summer and how wonderful our summer school program has gone.
Thank you, Ms. Campson. Dr. Gabriel.
Well, I have to agree about the summer school programs. They're fantastic. The kids are smiling. They are getting up in the summer to get ready to go to their summer programs. And I've had the opportunity to visit a couple of them, both for interventions and enrichment. And it's really nice that our school division thinks of both for all of the children, transportation, meals, everything included. But today, I actually got to visit our facilities plant, see all of the air conditioning units that have been ordered a year ago that are now delivered. I got to have lunch. Mr. Clanton and I, we toured the nutritional warehouse. We have a walk-in freezer like they do at Restaurant Depot. You would not believe the amount of food, materials, organizational, logistics that goes into what we do just to bring a meal to a child each and every day, which I remember our governance trainer said, you know, the children may not know your name and they may not see your face, but they are getting the benefits of your decisions. And when we think of just the meals alone, all the manpower that goes into that, it's incredible. We also heard about how they're incorporating students with special needs into the nutritional program so that they're learning life skills and then going on to graduate and hopefully become employed with NPS. So it was just a wonderful opportunity to see the behind the scenes work and to say thank you to those who really are doing great things for our students each and every day.
Dr. Rawson?
I had an opportunity to attend the Faith-Based Partnership Conference Day Convention, whatever we want to call it. It was wonderful. Kickoff. It was all those to me. It was both refreshing and uplifting to see Superintendent Birdsong and her cabinet, her staff, principals, teachers, and students there embracing that partnership with our faith-based organizations as it relates to teaching and learning and motivation for our students and the teachers and all the staff in our schools. It was very, very, very promising and inspiring. And I guess no direct connection. I felt very blessed at the faith-based kickoff. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Dr. Martin?
Sure. My experience with the summer school programs has been through Virtual Virginia, and this is my first summer experiencing this with my own children. And I have to say it is top-notch and extremely rigorous. It's fast-paced, so I've been very impressed with the communication and the lessons and the accessibility. I also want to mention that I had the privilege of running into last year's 2021-22 student representative, Miss Georgia, and she has finished her first year at UVA, and it's just amazing to watch the accomplishments of our previous school board student representatives, and I'm just so proud of all that she's accomplishing as the others naturally, but it was really wonderful to catch up with her.
Jordan?
Let's see, so many good things to talk about. One, I echo what's been said about summer school. I also ditto the school plant tour. I had the opportunity, Mr. Fraley and Mr. Johnson and others gave me the opportunity for that tour as well. It is fascinating. I would encourage everyone to take that tour. I agree with that. The bus drivers that I see picking up children early in the morning during the summer who wave at me. I appreciate what they are doing and being able to watch the children get on the bus and the enthusiasm with which the bus drivers greet them, even during a hot weekday morning, is always appreciated. Also, the parents and community organizations that I hear from daily, literally, who are very much working hard to see their children to continue to excel. That is always refreshing. I appreciate having those conversations and just want to encourage that. I did have the opportunity over the summer to do one with Tower to Connect. Forgive me, Barrett Hicks, for not getting the name correct. But he had an event over the summer, and had the opportunity to set up a table and hear from parents there, and many meetings in, I won't tell all my secrets, but Fuddruckers and other places. It's not an endorsement, but parents who are willing to meet with board members, I appreciate that. Just a personal note, I didn't get a chance during the June meeting when the Council of Great City Schools was here, and Mr. Castley had mentioned that I had agreed to fill out a term on the executive committee for the Council of Great City Schools. So it's just for 1 year, but I'll be attending their executive committee meeting tomorrow. And so I am doing that for a year, and so I'm also excited about the opportunity to have Norfolk continue its influence in that organization as we've done historically. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Jordan. I thought you were going to tell us about how many lawns you've been cutting. We know you got that lawnmower.
Well, my truck was down for a week, but I'm going to catch up on it.
Thank you, everybody. Had a lot of things going on. Of course, I was out with Dr. Gabriel today. Transportation, got a chance to really see all the things that go on behind that. I know that Ms. Vaccine and Mr. Jordan and myself were in Richmond yesterday at the Conference on Education. The faith-based, thank you all so much, the entire staff on that. It was a huge success. I'm still getting people calling about that. Congressman Scott, as you all saw here, Chairman of the House Education and Labor Committee, and really helping to support our kids, and not just here in Norfolk, but across the country, to ensure that they have healthy meals. It's been a great time, and all the things that are going on with summer school. I, too, am traveling. I'll be in D.C. tomorrow for the National Urban League Conference. For those who know, I serve as a past national president, and looking forward to an opportunity to sit on an educational panel and to talk about the great things that are going on here in Norfolk Public Schools. I just want to leave off. I know some of you all were not here as a part of our governance training, but the words that I kind of want to share with here for who were here in this room, or our teachers, or our administrators, our parents, those who are part of the Norfolk Public School family. I just wanted to share this with you, and it's called Anyway. It's the Paradoxical Commandments. People are illogical, unreasonable, and self-centered. Love them anyway. If you do good, people will accuse you of selfish, ulterior motives. Do good anyway. If you are successful, you will win false friends and true enemies. Succeed anyway. The good you do today will be forgotten tomorrow. Do good anyway. Honesty and frankness make you vulnerable. Be honest and frank anyway. The biggest man and woman with the biggest ideas can be shot down with the smallest men and women with the smallest minds. Think big anyway. People favor underdogs, but follow only top dogs. Fight for a few underdogs anyway. What you spend years building may be destroyed overnight. Build anyway. People really need help. People really need help, but may attack you if you do help them. Help people anyway. Give the world the best you have, and you'll get kicked in the teeth. Give the world the best you have anyway. I just want to share with you all in the respect that we appreciate you. We appreciate all those who are watching here. We appreciate the voices that do come here before us, and the voices who are sent through email and that share. This is a collective thing about our community. And we thank you, Dr. Birdsong, and your team. This is truly NPS in this together. We are coming out of this pandemic, and as I said earlier, as chair, somebody asked me, so what's your theme about being chair? I'm going to make the main thing, and that is putting kids first and making sure that we're focused on those items. And so with that, I appreciate each and every one of you. Have a great evening. The meeting is adjourned.